Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. That's my email. It's in the description below. Reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a lovely late 5-digit Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht-Master, reference 16623 in 18-karat yellow gold and 904L stainless steel. The timepiece you see here was sold in 2015 and really represented the end of the line for the transitional features on Rolex watches. This started in the late 70s and had really run its course by the early 2010s. This watch is a throwback in some ways, and we're going to look over some of the ways that applies. So the watch is 40 millimeters in diameter. It is svelte, as it measures only 11.6 millimeters thick. Lug tip to lug tip, just the case, it measures 47.5 millimeters across the wrist, but the solid end links of the bracelet really extend its wingspan to 54.5 millimeters across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. So don't be deceived by the 40 millimeter case size or the thin profile. This watch actually has quite a bit of wrist presence. I would recommend it on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. You can see it wears well on my 16 centimeters circumference wrist. It's nice and flat. It is a sports watch, but it can easily be your dress watch, and you can see a cuff is no problem at all. The watch includes a bracelet that showcases some of those transitional features. So we have solid end links, but take note on this 5-digit, we still have hollow center links, and we still have a stamped Oyster clasp. Now it is a clamshell lock. You can see it's in excellent shape. Superb definition for the embossed link style profile of the clasp, and then you can see that crown is still beautifully well defined. And then internally we have a system with little divots drilled, so you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside the clasp, and we have removable links fixed by screws. Rolling back to the case, you can see that the case looks less like the Datejusts and Date-8s, although there is some family resemblance, and more than anything else, it looks like a Daytona case, all of high polish with beautiful tapered lug profiles, thin, slender, graceful crown guards, and yes, in spite of its 100-meter water resistance rating, a trip-lock crown, there's a lot here that resembles the Daytona more than any other Rolex watch. It certainly doesn't look like the awkward super case that you find on the Rolex divers. Now, the watch, since its 1992 debut as the Yacht-Master, has featured a full precious metal bezel with only a handful of ceramic exceptions. So we have a bezel that's made of yellow gold, then we have a bezel insert that is one and the same as the bezel, with a combination of media blasted recesses and then raised relieved polished numerals and indices. This is a yachtsman's bezel, so it turns in both directions. It does have a super fine and satisfying detent to it, so it doesn't glide, it does ratchet in a wonderfully tactile and pleasing fashion that's nevertheless refined as you would expect in a watch named after yachtsmen. You line up the index with the minute hand, and now you have a 0 to 60 minute count up timer that can be used for counting down to the start of a match or a race within a regatta, a sailboat competition. The dial is a lovely silver, but it's got a metallic gray to it. This isn't the silver white that you see on so many Datejusts. This is a darker, stronger, more industrial gray. It's more like the alubeam that you see on AMG cars, the alubeam silver or Audi Avis silver. It's that kind of silver gray. Now we have large yellow gold indices, and we'll do a lume shot here. As you can see, super luminova, hands as well as indices. We have that little red shock Yacht-Master. The indices on the Yacht-Master were larger than the sub from its inception. Often called a modern maxi dial, from 1992, the little luminescent plots on the Yacht-Master grew large before the corresponding change occurred on the sub. And you can see that this watch is quite well lumed in the dark. It doesn't short you the luminescence. We have a caliber 3135 internally. You can see solid Oyster caseback, and it includes a quick set system for the date, as well as a hacking seconds function if you wish to set the watch against a reference time. It's the same movement that you'd find in a Sea Dweller or sub from the period. Automatic winding, bidirectional, 48-hour power reserve, stop seconds, quick set date, 8 beats per second, 31 joules, COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It has a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring that allows it to keep even time in any position with respect to gravity, and to help it work through the 5-position COSC test. The hairspring is blue oxidized niobium zirconium. Rolex calls that parachrome blue. It is highly anti-magnetic, and it features a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance. The free sprung balance allows for very precise adjustment, and then along with the full balance bridge, it also helps to brace the movement better against shocks. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.